Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's get started.
Let's take a moment. Take a deep breath in. As you release the breath, release all your cares for this day. Take another deep breath in. and release. And on the third inhalation, take another deep breath and hold at the top. And release. As we are in this room, we sit in full acknowledgement of the one true power, the omnipresence, the omnipotent, that is part of every single being. From this truth, we open up to the acknowledgement that we are one with this power. And now, bring your awareness right below your belly button to that space, all the way to your back. And this is your place of center. Feel your connection to the source of all life. And as you breathe in from this space, feel in every single part of your body the expansion of this power. As it flows through each and every cell of your body. See it as light, expanding completely through your entire being. Feel this light as it travels through your being to every person in this room, in this beautiful container in which we are opening up tonight, so that our minds can be connected to the mind of God. We are one mind, and the work that we do in this container is now expanding beyond this room to every single person that we meet. And as you breathe slowly in, now bring your awareness to your heart. And from the back of your heart, expand this portal and feel the love that flows through your being, each being in this room, and feel the connection deep in your heart to the source of life. And we are grateful for this moment to sit together, knowing that as we sit together, everything that we take from within these lessons catalyzes each and every single soul that we meet. We hold this gratitude for the sonship, for He who brings the sonship to us, that we might live in this oneness with the Son and the Father. And as we open up our beings to this amazing opportunity, we feel within us the unanimous song of the universe, the And we hold the song in our soul in silence. And as we bring our awareness back to this room, in our mind's eye, we see the light that encases all of us. And we say thank you for this beautiful atonement that we all share with everyone in this room, beyond this room. And we wrap the entire world in this truth of oneness. And we say, Amen. So be it. It is done.
And as we are still in this peaceful state, this blessed state, where we are one with spirit, let us begin our opening prayer. I am here only to be truly helpful.
I am here to be only truly helpful.
I am here to represent him who sent me.
I am here to represent him who sent me.
I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do.
I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do.
He who sent me will direct me.
He who sent me will direct me.
I am content to be wherever he wishes,
I am content to be wherever he wishes,
knowing he goes there with me.
knowing he goes there with me.
I will be healed
I will be healed
as I let him teach me to heal.
as I let him teach me.
And so it is.
So it is.
Amen. Thank you, Debbie. That was a beautiful message. I appreciate it. Thank you. Sure everyone feels the same. All right. So, Brother Bill, let me just catch up really, or log back into my iPad, and would you take us away, please?
You want me to start on trust?
Yeah, on trust.
Okay.
Stephen, I wonder what that light is across your head. You have this spiritual light around it's like a halo around you, a big one.
It's the sun is setting, and so it's just coming through this window, and so let me see if I can.
It's okay.
You sure?
Yeah, it's totally fine. It just seems like a big circle around you.
Oh, here we go. All right. Okay. All right.
I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
Why aren't we starting with number one?
It actually took us to
Just the trust part?
Did a formula which took us to trust. We can always start at number one if you guys want to, but at the same time, kind of trying to swing.
Well, I was asking, not to cut you off, I'm sorry.
Hmm?
The reason I was asking, because there's a colon at the end of two, which leads into the beginning. That's why I was just asking.
Got it.
Like
Got
a
it.
setup. I was just asking.
Okay, well, let's read that section then. Let's just start at the beginning. You're right. Let's start at the beginning. It's not a perfect process. We just stuff like that. Let's just start at the beginning. Bill, do you mind?
No, I was finding it really, really moving that I was going to be reading on trust there, because that's the one, my favorite paragraph in the whole book. You know, it's just so powerful to me. It says everything about the whole thing, but we're going to get to it. And
Yeah.
And it's just so powerful. Anyway, what are the characteristics of God's teachers? The surface traits of God's teachers are not all alike. They do not look alike to the body's eyes. They come from vastly different backgrounds. Their experiences of the world vary greatly, and their superficial personalities are quite distinct. Nor, at the beginning stages of their functioning as teachers of God, have they as yet acquired the deeper characteristics that will establish them as what they are. God gives special gifts to his teachers because they have a special role in his plan for atonement. Their specialness is, of course, only temporary, set in time as a means of leading out of time. These special gifts, born in the holy relationship toward which the teaching-learning situation is geared, become characteristic of all teachers of God who have advanced in their own learning. In this respect, they are all alike. I'll keep going. All differences among the sons of God are temporary. Nevertheless, in time, it can be said that the advanced teachers of God have the following characteristics.
All right. Okay. What do you think, Bill?
I've been doing the manual lately, and I went through this, and I've been through this a lot of times, and it's really moving to me emotionally, just really about, there's a lot of times when I think, this course is trying to tell us that we're teachers of God. And there's still that little part of the ego mind in me. I shouldn't say little, it seems big sometimes. It says, who do you think you are being a teacher of God? And who do you think you are? And that's basically, I think what the course gets to really is that's our whole problem, is who we think we are. The course is telling us we are the Holy Son of God himself, free of all limits. And anyway, maybe I'm getting off the subject of this thing, but it's this whole book, and it gets to the first, what characteristics that teachers of God have, and it was the next part is really the thunder. To me, this is like the lead up, but what it starts saying about trust, and trust is something that I don't like to admit that I don't have a lot of times. When I'm very honest, I realize there are parts in my mind that just don't trust, or else I would never be able to experience fear. I think, and I'm just being honest with you, having studied A Course in Miracles and been devoted on the spiritual path, I admit that the course is about removing the blocks to our awareness of love's presence, and I find that I still have parts of my mind that doubt, and I don't like. There was a long time in my journey when I would never have admitted that to myself, let alone to a group of people, because I didn't think that was being spiritual, because I should know better by now, and I shouldn't have doubt, and I should this, and I should that. And what I come to see now is that's just what I call spiritual ego trying to take up there, and to make me feel guilty for the journey, or whatever, or it's my own mind. It's all my own mind going to town with me there. There's no something out there, but one of, and I've come to realize I'll just share a quick story that opened it up. Several years ago, I was going through this, and I was having a lot of fear. I was selling a house, similar to stuff recently, the house, and a lot of money and all this stuff going on, and I was sitting in a chair right where I am right here. And I said, God, show me a sign that I could trust. I mean, I know I could trust, but the truth is I don't. Show me a sign. I forgot about it, and I'm riding my bicycle through town here up the way, and I'm riding through the parking lot of this supermarket there, and the supermarket is called Giant Foods, right? So I'm riding through the thing, and I look over, and there's a tractor trailer, and across the whole length of the tractor trailer, in like 8-foot tall letters, it says, "You can trust." And I looked over, and because and in little letters, it's quality. That's their slogan: quality, you can trust. But the whole back of the thing said, "You can trust." And I looked over, and I'm like, "What?" And the old ego mind said, that might have just been a coincidence. but I know it's not. So. There's nothing like it goes on to say here. I think that's the foundation of everything is just trust, and that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. And that is an important foundation as far as trust. What does everybody think? Going out to the group. Any yes, Ziba? Yes.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to briefly say to what Bill just said with regards to teachers of God. I don't think if I just opened the book and came to this group and read this, I would be a teacher of God. I think, because this part comes after all the chapters in the text, and then all the workbook lessons that you have to actually practice daily, and it's not an easy job. So by the time you get here, if one finishes all that and gets here, I think then that title, is deserved for that person. But otherwise, yeah, you're right. It would be the ego claiming it. Just wanted to say that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ziba.
You're welcome.
All right. Anybody? Somebody else got a hand?
I would like to say a couple things. One is, I don't think that, it says that they all come in different shapes and forms, and they're vastly from different backgrounds. So teachers of God necessarily are not ACIM students. They could come from any other background. And I also think that there are people that I know in my life that were students of nothing, yet they were teachers of God. And inherently, for some reason, as I'm reading the book, I know there are so many things I'm like, oh my God, this is what, this person had without even being a student of anything, really, really. And then the other thing I realized here that I was a little bit mixed with was that God gives special gifts to these teachers, and they have a special role, and these gifts are special, and it kind of translates that the teachers are special. And the other day I was reading in the Song of Prayer about the helpers, which kind of like helpers that kind of help you heal. So they weren't called healers, because that will make a distinction, and they would give them a hierarchy. So it would say that they're God healers, God helpers, and there it says that they are not special. They are holy. So I thought that was really interesting that at that point, it was saying that the God's healers are not special, because that also creates separation. It says that they're not special, but they're holy. And to be holy is, all of us have that at our roots. It's again where our home is. We just have layers added. So it's not that we're not holy, it's that we forgot that we are holy. It's not that we are not healers, that we forgot that we are healers, or it's not that we are not teachers, God's teachers, that it's just because we forgot that we are God's teachers. But then yet here it's saying all these things about special gifts and special characteristics, and that was a little bit conflicting to me, because I didn't think that these are given to us. I thought that we all have it. We just forgot that we have them. Or maybe I'm looking at it very superficial. Maybe I'm not reading it correctly, or maybe I'm just paying attention to certain words. But that what it came across to me as Bill was reading it, that it's the teachers are being distinguished as a special.
And you know, however we interpret any of this stuff, I'm loving it. You know, so we don't have to just agree with everything we read like we're some robots. I mean, we can kind of help each other to, you know, interpret and things like that, and help each other maybe understand. But I'm loving this. I'm loving differences of opinion and all that other stuff. That's beautiful. Thank you, Moshe. Thank you. Yeah.
Mark, you want to say something?
Yes, Mark.
Hi, I think I'm unmuted. What I picked up was the number 4 in here. God gives special gifts to his teachers because they have a special role in his plan for atonement. And someone else just mentioned here, it doesn't have to be A Course in Miracles. It could be other places too. And then it goes on and it says their specialness, of course, only temporary, set in time and as a means of leading out of time. And then in the second paragraph, it says all differences among the sons of God are temporary. And what I'm getting out of that is you get a little bit of turbocharging when you become the teacher. And it's not me getting the turbocharge. It's God's grace coming into me, because we meditated before this and we said a prayer and asked that God guide our words and our thoughts. The differences are temporary because we're all one. We're all the same. You know, we all come from the same place. We're all God's children. I always say, God is love. We're his children, so therefore we're loved too. So we're all connected. And when the ego is gone, when we leave this place, this physical world, we're all one again. But we were one while we were here too, and our egos and all the physical stimuli got in the way, and we forgot we were one. And learning about that is something that is hard when that stuff is etched in your brain. And I think that what I've done, and I've been in other groups, 12-step groups, things like that for almost 4 decades. And I got to a certain point with that when I met Bill, and he told me about this, and I thought I hit like a spiritual ceiling. And what I've shared with him, and he shares with me mostly, has opened up that ceiling. The light's coming through, and it's allowing me to grow farther than I ever thought possible. And you know, and people that are teaching about the love of God are special. They are special people.
Mhm.
And they wake up people like me to the
Mhm.
fact that, hey, you can always learn more. You can always go higher. And so I don't want to take up a lot of time. I'm a new guy, so I'm just giving my take on it. So
Your take is very important, Mark, and I really appreciate your take, and I agree with you 100%. Someone, think of, don't, I would just invite everyone not to think of it so much as special, but just, when you share information, if there's information that you share, initially before you really start sharing it, it's within you. So think of maybe like some seasoning or something like that you put into a pot of boiling water. At first, it's just some water, but then the seasoning then begins to dissipate, and then the seasoning's not there anymore. That seasoning represents an idea that was in the mind of one, and they just basically began to share it. So maybe they were special from the standpoint that they had an idea, but as they began to share it, that idea began to disseminate into the collective consciousness, and there's just a gradual uplifting of collective consciousness. That's kind of how I look at it. I don't retain any information. I refer to I think of myself as a teacher, and I don't retain any information that I know. I share everything. The first thing I want to do, and my mom just had a talk last night. She was talking about how the first thing we want to do is tell, and I was thinking like she was talking about me. I was thinking, because that's the first thing that I want to do when I learn any type of spiritual realization. I'm quick to share it in this forum, in this Course in Miracles forum. I'm quick to share anything I know. I hold back nothing. I don't want to hold back any information that I know, and it feels true to me. Now, people don't have to accept what I'm sharing, but at the same time, I'm just trying to share it. That's all I want to do. And then once I share it, it's not just in me anymore. It's shared. I've disseminated it now. It's not just in me now. So I have shared it, and some people may accept it, some people may reject it, things like that. They might add their own little twist to it and things like that. And it's just like a whole uplifting experience. So that's my take on it. Anybody else?
I think that Jazz want to talk.
Yes, Jed.
Oh, awesome. I had to go and turn off my fan. It was too loud. I've just been listening to all the beautiful sharings and interpretations. And I just, as you guys were talking, some blurbs for me kind of popped up, specifically about God gives special gifts to his teachers. For me, what that is really referring to is I go and I sit with myself and I say, okay, what would those special gifts be? Oh, the giving of these things called miracles, which in essence, there actually is no need for at all when we have completely become one in the mind of God. But in the beginning, so to speak, we take on this illusionary role as a teacher. Well, who is a teacher? Anybody that chooses to be one, it says in the beginning of this section in the manual. And then it brought me back to the principles of miracles to kind of like elaborate on that a little bit. So I was just going to read two of them. So principle 16, miracles are teaching devices for demonstrating it as blessed to give as to receive. It is as blessed to give as it is to receive. They simultaneously increase the strength of the giver and supply strength to the receiver. So it's almost like we're kind of along, just as much the pupil and just as much the teacher, and learning through these devices or gifts that are these seemingly special things, but in essence, there really is no actual need for them. And then number 46 for the principles, the Holy Spirit is the highest communication medium. Miracles do not involve this type of communication because they are temporary communication devices. When you return to your original form of communication with God by direct revelation, the need for miracles is over. So you could use the word miracles, forgiveness, gifts, specialness. it's just part of this illusionary course that we're on, and it has a need in time. And then once we're outside of time, you know, in the mind of God, in the full atonement, there's no need for any of that. So I totally agree with the first comment that it was like, that doesn't really make sense. And it's like we kind of use these levels of teaching that sort of contradict each other along the way until we realize that there are no levels, there are no specialness at all. It's just all one mind, one thought, one essence, one Christ. So that's just my take. We've only gotten through one paragraph, but this has been super awesome.
Yep. Thank you, Jazz. Appreciate it. All right, and I appreciate all of the different perspectives and things like that. That is wonderful. Does anybody else have any other perspective they want to share before we move on? Yes.
May I say one more thing? I just wanted to add to what I already said, that I'm not saying this is the only course that people need to take to be able to become teachers of God. Of course, you can take any other course that can lead you to the same place where you can become a teacher of God. But I think there has to be a level of clarity in the mind for a teacher of God to be able to share with other people. Because if I'm not clear myself, how can I help other people, become clear?
Good point.
Thank you.
Just real quick, I wanted to add, it does say in A Course in Miracles, it says about how a teacher of God should spend his day. And it says, this must depend on the teacher of God himself. And it says he cannot claim that title until he has gone through the workbook, since we are learning within the framework of our course. So that's like something the Course in Miracles says about itself, about claiming, the title of teacher of God. And I think that plays along with like what Ziba just said, that within the framework of the course, that's what it says about that,
All right, within the framework of the course, right?
But yeah, that's what we're studying, right?
And you know something? I'm just enjoying all of the different opinions and perceptions and things like that, and I'm just enjoying, like, everybody just coming to the table with, their truth, and please, everyone, continue to come with your own truth, and we will all benefit from it. Anybody else before we go to the next section? Anybody? Mom, you kind of quiet. Hold on. Let me unmute you. Hold on, Mom. Let me unmute you. I told you it's a very nasty thing when the echo. And I didn't mute you this time, but maybe you muted yourself. I need you to unmute yourself, Mom. It's not letting me do anything. Well, Claudia, maybe you can unmute her because it won't let me unmute her.
Just give me a chance to be able to see it.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been just waving my hand and all that kind of stuff. So I just gave up.
Your image doesn't look too much there in the screen, Sheila, so we don't see you. We'll see your head.
That's funny because I see my full face in the thing.
Yeah,
here's my little no, just now I leaned over, but I've been sitting like this the whole time. It's
all
okay. Right. The only thing I wanted to say is that with all of the deep studying of the course I've done for so many years, and I still continue to study it, one of the things that is essential that we recognize, what is talking about in all of this is as we open ourselves up to the realization of who we are, that we need to embrace all of these purposes and descriptions and what our roles are. But my beloveds, we are God. We are God. There is absolutely no difference between God and us. We were created in the image and likeness, and with all of the attributes, qualities, and gifts. The reason we're taking this journey is to move aside the erroneous concepts and perceptions that we have had about ourselves, that we have taken on and grounded within our being, that have prevented us from standing fully in the realization that we are God. We are God. Yeah. And once we accept that, and that's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, because they have been made to believe that they are unworthy of calling themselves God. I've gotten over that. I am God. You are God. So, but what it's telling you, all of this that it's asking you to do, and the qualities of a teacher and so forth and so on, it's all there to help you move aside the barriers to the realization that you are God, and that's all there is to it. I'm done.
That was, you're absolutely correct, Mom. And no matter what you say to people, because I've said this many times, but there is a devaluation of human beings, in that no matter what you say, that's a lot of times that's not going to compute, Mother. I've talked about that to the section, as far as like, you feed that information into a computer, God is all there is and stuff like that, and a computer would come to a conclusion that it was God immediately. But with the human being, it's it still doesn't compute. So it just has to do with internal belief systems, and so there's a pulling away, like the layers on an onion. You know what I mean? You got to constantly peel away those layers of the onion, and it's almost as if we have to convince ourselves to believe who we are. It's like it's amazing. It's really amazing when you think about it. I mean, we have to convince ourselves to believe who we are. And so we have to keep peeling away these little layers and stuff like that, and leave these little layers and stuff like that. And, and we'll think about the negativity. We'll jump on the negativity in a minute. But, anytime somebody says something positive, like, you're God, I don't know about that. Now we got to peel back some layers. But let somebody say something negative and we just jump all over it. So, it's a human condition, Mother. And thank you for bringing it.
It's simply because to help us. The reason I share this is to give us a realization that we are not really working toward being God. That's all. What we're working toward is realizing that we are God, and removing all of the erroneous perceptions that we've had. And what allowed me to be so fully clear that I am God is that, I think I mentioned it last night. I'm supposed to be dead. I was given, 6 months to 2 years to live. I'm still here. That was many years ago. I am told that I'm blind, but I can still see. So isn't that what God does? God refuses to take on that which is not true of itself, or I'm sorry, not the truth of itself. And I think once we begin to be able to stand firmly in the truth of ourselves, that regardless of what is going on around us, happening in our lives, happening in the world around us, we are God. And if the word God is too hard, you all know, I believe it is the grand operational design. So use that, and maybe that's easier to accept. I'm done.
Yeah. Or maybe we are spirit is easier to accept. I don't know. If you're just so afraid because, you're just so afraid of saying that you're God, you want to say the G word, whatever it is you want to do. I mean, if it's such a bad word to say, then just don't say it. Just say spirit or whatever word resonates with you. But I'm with you. I don't even say it, because I get too many disbelieving looks and stuff like that from people. It's like it doesn't compute. So I just keep my mouth shut. I'm just like, I go into the dream with people. That's what I do. I go into the dream with people. Whatever it is they think about themselves, I kind of go in there with them, and then I'll throw them some ideas, and then maybe they'll accept the idea, and maybe not. But that's what I do.
But Stephen, you were raised to know that you were God.
But that doesn't mean that I still didn't have my own dissonance, Mother. Because
you did. But I'm saying you were told that.
Mm-hmm.
So that just proves what I just said. It's really about accepting that fact.
Yeah. And it's more difficult, and it's easier to believe the negative than it is the positive. You know what I mean? It's easier to believe the negative. We jump all over the negative. You actually have to say 5 positive things to 1 negative thing. I believe it is. Isn't it 5 positive things to match 1 negative thing? What is that? What is that? You got to say 5 or 6 positive things just to match a negative.
Even
what is that?
Krista wants to say something.
Who?
Krista.
Hey, Krista. How you doing?
Hey, I want to chime in. Reverend Sheila, your words are beautiful. You are an awesome soul. And Stephen, I want to kind of touch on the topic you said about how it's easier to talk about the negative than it is the positive. I think, from my experience, it's about being more comfortable with who you are. And so if the environment is negative, you meet them at their level, right? And so that's kind of like what you said before. But I would just suggest or challenge you to never meet them at their level, because oftentimes they don't elevate. Maintain your level. Either they get on board, or it makes room for something or someone else. But it's the negative is not that you necessarily want it. It's just what's accepted in society. And so in order to have a conversation, you got to talk about the president. You got to talk about, no, you don't, honestly, you create your own rules. And this is something that I live by. I always say, my cousin, she lives in Dallas. And so I'm like a Houston person. And so she says, the rules don't apply to you. And they don't. They just don't apply to me. She said, those folks in Houston, the rules don't apply to them, So I would just venture to say, there are so many people on the planet. If the ones that are in the environment are more negative, let them have their space,
Amen, sister.
Thank you so much. You keep on chiming in anytime you want to, okay? You just
I shall.
I was here chuckling when Sheila said, Stephen, you were raised that way to know you were God. And I was thinking of my own self. I was raised to hear that I'm a lot of things, but I can assure you God wasn't one of them. In fact, it was more like, God damn, what's the matter with you, boy? that was as far as God got, as far as describing me. That's all I'm going to say.
I love this group. Claudia, who is next for reading?
I think it's time for a break.
Is it time for a break already?
It's 8.
Oh my.
Yeah.
1 paragraph, and we just go for like 40 minutes.
We just make a paragraph per hour.
Oh my God.
It's the
Well, it had so
remedial
much
group.
meat on it. It had so much meat on it.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and take an 8-minute break, restroom break, coffee break, water break, whatever kind of break you want to call it. That's 8 minutes.
Y justo por eso se me hizo interesante, a mí me invitaron a esto de las meditaciones y inmediatamente pues quise hacer el grupo yo también.
All right. So it's about that time.
Yes.
All right. So let us see. All right. Okay. All right. So Claudia, who is, I believe Mark.
Mark. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mark is next. So is Mark back? Oh yeah, he's there. There he is. So Mark, listen, if you feel like reading, could you go ahead and start reading, picking up where it says trust, please?
Sure. Trust. This is the foundation on which their ability to fulfill their function rests. Perception is the result of learning. In fact, perception is learning because cause and effect are never separated. The teachers of God have trust in the world because they have learned it is not governed by the laws the world made up. It is governed by a power that is in them, but not of them. It is, excuse me, it is governed by a power that is in them, not of them. It is this power that keeps all things safe. It is though this power that the teachers of God look on a forgiving world.
All right, Mark. So what do you think about that?
I can say that before I started to trust God and understand that He was a loving Father, not because I was like Bill growing up. I never heard I was God. I never heard anything about love. I heard about fire, brimstone, and I was already ruined. I was already condemned by the time I was able to think, to tell you the truth. But that was the perception that I had, and that's what I think they're talking about here. I learned all those bad behaviors from the perception I had of what God was, of what my surroundings were, my environment, all of those triggers. And now I learned a different perception. I call Jesus, I call him my buddy. That's how I greet him in the morning. I wake up and I say, "Good morning, bud," because I feel that is the perception that I learned through the spiritual awakenings I've had along the line in the 12-step program I go to. And the perception now is even greater that I'm learning from. And it's new perceptions that people that have been through this, I'm learning from you guys. I'm learning from you, and especially Bill, that perception is learning, and it is changing my perception. We had a discussion today about that, and I said a simple thing that I did not perceive was being negative about myself. And after we talked about it, the perception is I learned through perception to change. Yeah, that was negative. I never looked at it that way. And I don't think, and this is me talking, I don't know what this course teaches about that, but I don't believe I can make I think my spiritual development is directly related to getting rid of negativity. I can't have negative thoughts, especially about myself. because what we learned tonight, we are God. We are love. And if I got negative thoughts about myself, I can't grow spiritually. I just can't. And I have to get rid of that stuff. And that's what I'm learning how to do now, because there's stuff that I didn't get rid of that I thought I did. And stuff I didn't know about that was negative. And that's what I'm, trust is something too that my spiritual awakening in the beginning was that I believed in God. And then I had faith in God, but that wasn't enough. I had those things, but there was times when I did not trust God. Mm-hmm. And when I learned to trust God, and believe me, I trust him with everything. And no matter what. And it's an undying trust. And therein lies me turning my will and my life over to him. He's in charge. And I follow the guidance I get from him. And I don't get it directly. I get it from other people that are on the same, or sometimes not the same plane I am spiritually. They could be way higher or the same plane, things like that. There's nobody lower, I don't think, not because of who we are. So at any rate, that's what I got out of what I read here, that it's through this power that the teachers of God look on a forgiven world, and not forgiven is negativity, and I'm not going to grow spiritually, and I'm not going to be able to be even a student or a child of God if I have the negative thoughts about the world, myself, God, other people. I'm just not going to get there. So that had to go. And boy, life gets easier that way.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Going out to the group. Any comments? Any questions? Mom, remember you're muted, so please just hold your hand right up, and I'm looking out for you. So anybody else? Nobody? This group? Interesting. Very interesting. It's a very chatty group,
Well, I just want to commend Mark.
Okay.
I was very touched by what he just said. And that was powerful to show, exactly what they're talking about in this section, his evolution from where his life was and what he believed and felt and so forth. And look at now what he has come to and what he has realized. And so he is awakening continually to being the God that he is. So congratulations, Mark. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mom. Anybody else? Yes, Bill.
I just wanted to, this is like one of my favorite, seems to be I say that about every part of the course I end up reading it. This is my favorite part. But for right this minute, this is my favorite part, about trust. It's so powerful when I can hear that what it's saying there, that this is the foundation on which the ability to fulfill our function rests, trust, and I love that part. I always have, I remember reading it on one of the little inspirational cards that said, the teachers of God have trust in the world because they have learned it is not governed by the laws the world made up. And I read that on that little card and I said, that's in A Course in Miracles? Where's the Course in Miracles say that? Trust in the world. Because I used to have this perception that, oh, I'll trust God, but I'll be darned if I'm going to trust you or anybody else in this world. You sneaky, you sneaky, whatever I might want to call you, And I didn't realize. I'll tell you, I've dealt with that my whole life, never knowing. And I thought that was a way to protect myself. The Course calls that defenses. And I thought that was wisdom. And the Course calls that judgment. And it says what wisdom is the relinquishment of judgment. See, I thought all these judgments I had about people, and I had to stay away from you, and I can't trust you, and I can't trust the world. The world, I'll trust God, but I'm not trusting the world. Well, where's God? But it was so powerful to me when I read that the first time, and I just can't read it enough, too many times, that having trust in the world and learning it's not governed by the laws that we made up, that the world made up. Mm-hmm. Everything is still, there's only God. There's only God. There's only God. And I say that, and it just never ceases to amaze me how I could just forget that. How I could forget that, and but the trust thing is just so powerful. Because just recently, in the last few months, I've been doing a lot of deeper work, inner work, and really bringing to my awareness a lot of blocks that were there that I did not know were there. And I've been doing this for a while, but it's just been another opening to look at the blocks, which isn't fun, by the way, but it is it's so healing that I realized these deeply held beliefs I had, this sense I can't trust my brothers, that lesson, I trust my brothers who are one with me. And I came to find out, wow, that's like part of me in that shadow, that what we might call the shadow. I've really have believed I can't trust, the world, I can't trust. And I've had a hard time with that. And for whatever reason, it's not like I find myself guilty of something there, but I really had to look at that. Like the Course says, we really have to look at these things before we can let them go. We can't just live in denial of them. And I came recently just to realize how much I don't trust. Okay, I'll trust God, but I'm not trusting anybody else, and I always had this, I always got to defend myself. And I know the Course says that what could you not accept if you but knew that all things, all things, all events, past, present, and to come, were gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good. Like, I know that was the first Course thing I ever memorized. However, I can get into this old habit of thinking and perceiving where I live otherwise. Like there's a random set of things happening in the world, and I can't trust anything that's happening here. And this is not a safe place. And it's just been there's been a deeper healing for me personally in this area coming up here. So that's why I was saying this is very moving to me to go to look at this again. And when I thought I was going to have to read it there in the beginning, I'm like, okay, Jesus, I get the message now. Okay, I'm really not going to miss it this time. You know what I mean? But it's been so deeply moving. Carol Howe, who's a longtime Course teacher, has helped me so much over the years. She said one time to me about this stuff. She says, "Tell your friends, Course in Miracles ain't for sissies." Because if you really do it, you're going to find out where the blocks are. And at first, it's no fun because the ego wants to reject, but I tell you, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced.
All right. Well, thank you, Bill. Deb, looks like Deb has a question. Yes, Deb.
Krista had her hand up.
I thought your head. Yeah, I got something with your hand.
It's a joke. I'm gonna tell a joke. So she and I look alike. Is that what you're saying, Stephen? Kidding.
Nah.
Kidding.
I
Kidding.
My phone just says Deb Mack or has a hand raised. That's all. So
Okay,
sorry.
I'm sorry. I was going to share this, and thank you so much for sharing that, Bill, about trust. I hang out with a really cool 6-year-old. And one of the things I am learning from her is that she lets go of things like, we get into a tiff, right? Me, the old lady, and then the 6-year-old. And I'll say, okay, are you sad or are you mad? She's like, yeah, I'm mad at you. Next thing you know, she drops it and we're playing again. So, and then also how she just trusts that everything is okay, or it's safe in the world. And so I sometimes just kind of like watch her and marvel, and I learn from her to be more childlike instead of the way that I was taught and the way that I was programmed to look at a person who might, someone told me something that I shouldn't, really be trusting of, but that's not my nature. That's truly not my nature. So she reminds me to stick with my nature. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Be like little children. I love that. Anybody else with this paragraph before we move on? Anybody else have? Deb, you had your hand raised. Was that an accident or something?
Oh, I saw Krista's hand go up, so I was like letting her go first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I really love this paragraph. So when I look at the world and I see what's going on in the world, and then just kind of look at it and just have this knowing of there is something way, way bigger that's beyond it, that's behind all of it, and it just sit and you just look at it, because the laws that people think exist on this level is nothing compared to the law that is actually really behind moving everything. And that trust just allows me to just kind of like function. Like, I don't worry about anything. Like, okay, that craziness is going to happen and that's wonderful to observe. But yeah, I trust that God, power, whatever it is, I know, I don't even trust, I know it is in control, as they say. And so that just kind of like allows me to function. And I guess that functioning is being, just to be. And hopefully that affects other people. But it's just honestly the most relieving place to be. I don't have to worry about anything. That's just my share.
No, thank you, Debbie. I'm the same way, Debbie. I'm the same way. And unfortunately, with some of our brothers and sisters, Debbie, it's misconstrued, where people think that we don't care and stuff like that, or that we're somehow not in reality or something like that, or we're somehow living in denial. It's like, people will attempt to, well, how could you not worry about the coronavirus? Because I already know that there's a bigger thing at work than what you're seeing, obviously. So no, I'm not worried about it. I know that this too will pass, because something, all I have to do is look at the path behind me to know that. And anytime that anything looked all mean and scary and this is the most scariest thing I've ever seen, something, guess what? It turned out okay. It turned out okay. So what makes this situation different? Well, it's only happened in 100 years. This is a 100-year pandemic. We never had a pandemic like this. Okay, I understand what you're saying. Again, I understand what you're saying. However, we'll just have to agree to disagree. I'll leave you to your thing, and I understand that everything's gonna be okay. All I have to do is look at the path behind me, as evidence that everything has turned out okay from what I've seen so far. And as a matter of fact, I have seen things develop, Debbie, that I couldn't have even written a better script for. To be honest with you, I was like, oh my God, it's like, how did that happen? It's like even if I were to write a script, okay, and so then everything is going to happen this way, it would not be as good as what actually happened in real life. And so, something, I just say, hey, something, Spirit, you got it. You got it. So yes, Debbie, you had another question?
I was going to say, because I've just been, kind of leafing through this chapter about the characteristics of God's teachers. Honestly, you wouldn't have to say a word to anybody if you were to hold all of these particular characteristics. You would just walk through the planet expressing just energetically these attributes. We don't have to really say anything. And that's how I think someone said the best way to help another person is to live your life. Really, and just live it. And just because people are going to be, that's the natural, truthful energy of God. That is what makes people pay attention. Because you could tell them, like, you're God. You could say, I am God. And they're just going to think, oh, you're a nut job. But if you walk with that power and just walk in that truth, it's like people are like, well, what is that? And you just keep just living that way. And I feel, to me, that's the best way I can honestly teach people, just to live my life.
Thank you, Debbie.
Amen, sister.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Power of attraction.
I'm not saying nothing else for the rest of my life.
You sure? All right. Okay. Any more comments before we go on to the next paragraph? Somebody raise a hand. Is that you, Susan? Okay, yeah. Susan, what you got, Susan?
Well, I think that trusting is a moment in the moment thing, in the moment, to be present. They're not in the past or the future. And there's to be in the present, to trust really is a present moment quality. It's really embodying the present moment and bringing the consciousness always to the present. And there's a surrender in that, and it requires that total trust in. It's one and the same. Being in the moment is a big part of trusting, I think. It requires to be in the moment, and that's a living thing. It's not anything we can even contain. It's alive, like our prayer we say in the beginning. I'll be told what to do, what to say, and where to go. It's like and that's freedom. And our ego doesn't think that's freedom at first, but actually that is the freest place to be. And it's anyway, and there's nothing to defend in the moment. There's really nothing here to defend, but and so whenever it's funny, it makes it so simple, love and fear, and the ego wants to make it complicated. So anyway, if I can remember, I'm training in that. So to see the difference between love and fear, and I'm learning. So thank you. It really is a learning the difference, and realizing, I don't have to be part of that. No big deal. There's no defense needed. It's just, I'm going to see love. I'm going to embody love. I'm going to turn, and it just gets stronger, I think.
Absolutely. Thank you, Susan. So what do you guys think? Are we ready to move on, or we got some more comments? Got some couple of people that are kind of quiet. I guess you guys are kind of letting more people talk. Charles has been pretty quiet. He's just been sitting there. Claudia's been kind of quiet as well, except for to help me, let me know if somebody, talk or whatever. Anybody else? All right, we ready to move on? Everybody ready to move on? Okay, Claudia, who's next?
Hey, Susan.
Susan, would you mind reading the next part where we leave off on a forgiven world?
Let me make sure I'm on the right.
It starts off with when this power has.
Okay.
experience.
Yeah, okay. When this power has once been experienced, it is impossible to trust one's own petty strength again. Who would attempt to fly with the tiny wings of a sparrow when the mighty power of an eagle has been given them? And who would place his faith in the shabby offerings of the ego when the gifts of God are laid before him? What is it that induces them to make this shift?
So what do you think about that, Susan?
Well, that's a pretty good news, I think. I think that is so exciting because there is a way to, I think it starts like there must be a better way. Helen and, they were saying there must be a better way to deal with this place. And this is really, to me, it's like there is a better way. We know that. We all know there must be some way to, at least people who are questioning. And so anyway, to me, this is there is a power within us that we can align with that will help us. And it's way easier to live that way than the way that this world is operating. And it's just a matter of learning a new way and practicing and really wanting it. So wanting this and to realize this other isn't really, giving me what I thought. It's really not all that awesome. Is it really doing what I think it's doing? And I see that it's really empty. I've come to the conclusion the way I was, and so I am convinced that this way, there is a better way, and experienced a better way through loss, quite a lot of loss, but it's actually turned into, the more I don't fight it. And I realize it's actually opening up something new for me. It's just a matter of, it's time to let go of that. And it's time for something new, and something in me wants to hold on to something. And it's just a waste of time to hold on to this stuff that's trying to be removed from me. It just keeps me. So anyway, the more I, don't try so hard in a way, the better, things go. So anyway, I get guided now for sure. Definitely I'm being guided. There's no doubt in my mind now. And so I do doubt, but I just keep learning. No, I wonder what's going to happen, and just trusting more and more. And I just start, anyway, there's definitely a growing in my just trusting that I'm being guided, and it's getting stronger than the old way.
All right. Okay. And I like what you said about relinquishing, just kind of not trying to be in control of everything. I like what you had to say about that. Not trying to have to do everything. Not to put it. And I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about just kind of like letting go, letting God, basically. And I definitely resonate with you. So thank you. All right. So going out to the group. Any interpretations, any questions, any comments?
That Bill wants to say something.
Bill wants to say something? Okay.
Yeah.
As usual, I'd like to say something, but I like this, where it says when this power has once been experienced, and that's the whole key of Course in Miracles. It's leading us to an experience, not just reading the book and not just doing this, but something's going to come along that's going to knock something came along that knocked my socks off. You know what I mean? And it was like, and it wasn't when I was looking at the book or nothing like that. It was like experience of this power that is in me, you know, that is my real self, you know, but, you know, it talks about that a lot in other parts of the course about, you know, in the clarification of terms, it says this is not a course in philosophical speculation. I love that. And it's aimed toward you having an experience. And, but, you know, when it talks about this thing about trust, and it says at the end, what is it? It's a question. What is it that induces us to make this shift from egoic mind to the God within us, you know? And then I know we're not going to get to it now, but that's the next section is so powerful, that development of trust. It talks about these stages that we all go through, you know, in the process. And I like in the first page of the course, it says this is a required course, and you can't establish free will. Doesn't mean you can establish the curriculum, but you can only choose when you want to learn it, basically. And it's not saying A Course in Miracles is a required course, but this stuff on the spiritual, realizing who you are, we're all going to go through it. Yep. We're all going, and this part in the development of trust, these stages that are coming up, lay it out so beautifully. And I remember reading them early on in the course thinking, what stage am I on? And I'd be like, oh, I can't be on stage 1. I'm going to be on stage 2. Nope, I'm on stage 3. Well, maybe not. Oh, I think I might be 4. This sounds right, though. And that was about 10 years ago. And I really, it's fun. I see Charles laughing. I think we can all relate to that. You know, I remember reading it early on, thinking, well, I passed through this stage already, and I think I'm over here. And the very mind that was thinking all that stuff was the egoic mind trying to figure this all out, you know. And but having a little bit more experience now with it all, I have a better, deeper appreciation of that whole section about the development of trust, like this part of our evolution to where we come to the point to where we can truly have the experience that I am God. Not just, oh, that's a really great idea, and yay, that sounds great. I've done that for a long time, but to have the experience, wow. And it's beyond any kind of words, like you can't even talk about it, you know. But that development of trust is like, it's so perfect. Those stages it talks about, that the things that we will all go through to get there, you know. Anyway, that was my 2 cents. Thanks.
All right, Bill. So Claudia, who do we have next?
I think me.
All right. Okay. So go ahead, and would you mind continuing?
Okay. Development of trust. First, they must go through what might be called a period of undoing. This need not to be painful, but it usually is so experienced. It seems as if things are being taken away, and it is rarely understood initially that their lack of value is merely being recognized. How can lack of value be perceived unless the perceiver is in a position where he must see things in a different light? He's not yet at a point at which he can make the shift entirely internally. And so the plan will sometimes call for changes in what seem to be external circumstances. These changes are always helpful. When the teacher of God has learned that much, he goes on the second stage.
All right. So, Claudia, what do you think about that?
Well, so of course I relate to this, as I think everybody does, you know. So the period of undoing is kind of a period of craziness. I think that I was talking about that in the last session, like what's going on, you know, like it was sometimes, I don't know, it is conflicted. and like all these new ideas. Like, how is that? You know, how like the chair doesn't have any meaning and things like that. You know, so it doesn't make sense. And yeah, I agree that it's a kind of a layers, a spiral thing. But as Bill was saying, you know, like, yeah, I don't think that you really like done and you completely are ready to go to the stage number 2. So I think that you usually fluctuate, you know, so we are going and we think that we got it, that we have a second level experience, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's what it comes to me.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Going out to the group.
Just quickly, Steven.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up Nicole. Okay, so I'm clean.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, Claudia. I'll try to keep a better eye out because you're good at watching and that's the hand raise. And so Claudia is so good at that. So you guys have to bear with me. Tell my goddaughter I said hi.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So going out to the group, who'd like to talk a little bit more about that? Don't everybody just, you know, pipe in at once, you know. Everybody's, is that you, Debbie? You want to say something? I see you moving around. I'm trying to be better at finding out when somebody wants to say something. I'm trying to do better.
I was just giggling. This whole paragraph just makes me laugh because it's so. In retrospect, I look back at what was happening to me in my life and go, "Oh, that's what that was like." My whole life was just being completely pulled apart. But I didn't. But like it says right here, it is rarely understood initially the things that are being taken away, that their lack of value is merely being recognized. And at the time, like, my marriage wasn't valuable? No, it wasn't. My religious beliefs? No, it wasn't. My job? No, they weren't. But I got to a point where I really just like, no, they need to go. They must go. I didn't know why they must go, but I was willing to release them. And so it's kind of like you see all these external things happening, but you don't really understand in the moment why they're happening. But when I read, like I said, when I'm reading back now, I'm cracking up because this is so funny to me because that's what that was. It was that development, the first part of developing trust in whatever was going to unfold in my life. But I didn't know. I just said, okay, these are going by.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely identify well, Debbie. You know, as far as you know, once I really started you know, reading the Course in Miracles, it's like my whole life changed. You know, my entire life, you know, really just began to radically change. And it wasn't that I saw things being taken from me. It's like I didn't want them anymore. You know, my mom for years and years and years and years tried to get me to read A Course in Miracles. And you know, I don't know if you guys know how I am. I'm very stubborn. I'm very headstrong, and I'm not going to read anything that I don't want to read, and I don't want to do it. You know, and my mom would like, you know, she tried to be slick. And so she would, I would go visit her in California, and then she would say, okay, well, before we go get some sushi, we're gonna go, I just need to go facilitate this Course in Miracles group so you can come with me really quick, and then we can go get the sushi. So I'm there sitting there in Course in Miracles, and all I hear is wah, 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 wah. I'm not listening to anything, to nothing. So I was like, okay, so can we go get some sushi now? I didn't hear anything in Course in Miracles. She'll send me a Course in Miracle book. It'll go right up on the shelf, which is like the one day I'll read this book when I have time to read something like this and go on the shelf, you know, with other such books that she would send me, and it would go right there to pick up dust like the other such books. So just one day, you know, my mother was staying with me. She had just moved to Houston, and so she was staying with me until she found a place to stay. And so I went to visit her in her room, and she had a Course in Miracles book laying in her bed. And, you know, so I just kind of looked at it and, you know, we were talking for a little bit and everything. And so when I looked in the book, or actually the book was actually open, and she had you know, this book was her first Course in Miracles book. She still has it. So it's got all kind of little writings in there, little scribblings, highlight. I mean, each page is like intricate. It's like, I'm like, oh my God, who would read something like this, like that? You know, so what I got from that was there must be something good in this book. There's got to be something good up in here. And so I started reading it. And so after that, my life changed. It changed drastically. You know, the things that I had value on, it just went right out the door. You know, right out the door. It's not that I said, oh, no more of you. No, I just wasn't even interested anymore. The interest was just gone, you know? So, you know, when I read this, it's like, that's kind of what that means for me. Anybody else? Anybody else? Everybody's quiet.
Yeah, my hand.
Oh, Moj and Zeba. Okay, so who's going first?
Jazz, do you want to say something? Jazz, do you want to say something?
Nothing to add as of right now.
Okay.
All good sharings.
I can wait.
Go ahead, Zeba, and then we'll go to Moj, because Moj wants to say something.
Okay, so I'm going to ask this question, which says a period of, okay, first they must go through what might be called a period of undoing. And is it clear to everyone what is going to be undone here? Is it already clear to everyone?
Absolutely. Would you like clarification, Zeba?
No, I just wanted to make sure that it is clear. Because I think this is the most important thing, you know, here.
Why don't you Zeba what it means for you? We would love to hear.
Okay, what it means to me is, you know, all the attachments that we have, you know, just made for ourselves as we grew up, you know, just being attached to everything, almost everything, and by all means. And we've got to let go of those attachments. I guess that's what I understand from this.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I understand too, Zeba. But thank you for giving it to me from Zeba's perspective. But we're all on the same page. Absolutely, Zeba. Thank you. Mo, you had something as well?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. So I think this is also piggybacking on what Crystal was saying, that children are such great teachers because there is not much undoing with them. But as adults, we have all these rules and all these ways of being that needs to be undone so we can actually learn anew. But what it reminded me of, you know, this is not painful, but it usually is experienced like so. It's like over years that has been my cue that anytime I feel pain, it actually goes bleep, like a light bulb goes on, and it's like, okay, what's going on here? What needs to be, you know, what is it being taught here? What is learning? What do I need to hear? What do I need to see? And I also always loved that saying that says, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And this, since like a week ago, I had this really bad shoulder pain, which, you know, after Googling it, I kind of figured out that I tore a rotator cuff. And it was just when I'm like starting to get back into, you know, physical activities and exercise, I'm like, okay, you know, after 30 days of doing that, on the day 31st, this happened. And I was in a lot of pain. And it took me like about 4 or 5 days to do some things to kind of like, I did a lot of prayers. I asked my shoulder, what is it that you want me to learn? What are you trying to tell me? What it is that I realized that how much slower I have to get, like even figuring out how to get out of the bed, everything was slower, using my left hand a lot more. So I realized meanwhile, as the pain is there, but how much more I am learning and how much more I am listening and how much more this pain reminds me of prayer, like doing the transcendental prayers, that like everything is perfect. This is so perfect because it's centering me. And again, that saying that pain is there, but I don't have to suffer. I don't have to give it stories, because of course the stories were there at some points, like, oh, then I won't be able to teach anymore. I won't be able to be active. I won't be able to do my yoga. And all of that. And how am I going to serve if I don't teach yoga? And then all the answers will come to me that that's literally not the only way that you could serve. That's literally not the only way that you can show up. And perhaps, there are other things to be explored. But in all, again, that undoing part, it is painful. However, it's a great lesson, because otherwise I, for one, wouldn't listen. Otherwise, I don't even know right now where my shoulder is, because if there's no pain, like I don't know where my elbows are right now because they're not talking to me. But as soon as they talk and start having pain, it's like it's a level of awakening. It's level of hello.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's somebody else in here that I don't know if she wants to share it or anything like that. Mom, did you want to? I got to unmute you. You got to unmute yourself. I don't have that control. Unmute yourself, Mom. I know you probably want to share some things that you perceived that were being, kind
I
of.
tried to unmute myself and it's not unmuting.
We can hear you now. So perfect. Perfect. You muted yourself, Ma. You muted yourself again. Push that same thing you pushed.
Okay, did I do it?
Yeah, don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Okay. So one thing that helped me along the way was someone shared with me, breakdown always precedes breakthrough. There are walls of consciousness. There are walls of emotions. There are even walls of material things in our lives that have to be broken down in order to clear the way for us to rise into our power and understand who we are and whose we are. Things have to be clarified more. But we have so much built up around us that we have learned to believe, that we have learned to depend upon, learn within our misperceptions that we need in our lives. So it may be removing from a job that is keeping you from stepping into a greater ability than you were allowed to show at that job. It may be the end of a marriage or a relationship that may be keeping you from being able to rise as high as you would like to, or as your soul would like to, because perhaps that person feels insecure of your rising up in your power. There are many things. Sometimes these things are very painful, but if you put yourself in the mind of how the caterpillar becomes a butterfly, it is a very painful process. That caterpillar is in this cocoon, and in order to become the butterfly, it has to push its way out of that cocoon, and it's pretty tightly woven. But
and
it has to.
Involved, and I believe there's some pain involved with that caterpillar.
It's very painful. It's very, very painful. And then when it breaks it open, then it has to use all of its body fluid to push it out into the wings, to make the wings come out so it can fly. There's a story about the man who thought it was struggling and cut it open, and the thing just fell out and died because it needed to, its body was all bloated. It needed to push that liquid from its body into the wings, and then it was a butterfly. So that's what's happening with us. You know, we've been in this cocoon of misperception, misbelief, or unbelief, and we were lost in this so-called real world paradigm, when we were being called to the higher world, the higher realm, that highest possibility of our being. And so we have to struggle out of the cocoon that we have built from our erroneous perceptions and beliefs. But once we do that, then we are clearer. We see it, we feel it, we sense it, we know that something is breaking through. We know that we are being lifted up to a greater reality. I mean, you can really feel it. And I know a lot of the people in this group, I've heard them talk about certain things in their journey. And so they know what this is like. Yeah, so we're butterflies. And that's what the same thing is. We are gods because we have recreated ourselves into the way we were with God before the world was.
All right.
So I'm done.
Hey, Mom. Well, thank you. We appreciate it. You know, this whole group appreciates it. And
if I may just say something to in respect of what Reverend Sheila mentioned. So when the lava is in the pupa in that netted space, it has to first break down into liquid.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the first breakdowns, like the butterfly is nothing.
Yeah.
That was before. So it has to first break down into that liquid, and then from that liquid is basically feeds the butterfly and the wings.
Yeah.
And all
Yes.
that. So the breaking down is there.
Yeah. Yep. And that's us, isn't it?
Yep.
That's us.
Yep.
That's us. We're pushing that liquid out into our wings so we can fly.
Or maybe some of us are in the goo stage. I don't know. Yeah, maybe some of us are still the caterpillar. You know, maybe we're spinning our cocoon. You know, who knows where we are in the stage of development? But it's okay. You know, it's okay. Yeah. So, but thank you, Mom. Thank you, Moj. You know, he's still kind of quiet over there, Charles. You don't have anything you want to say, huh, brother?
Well, to be honest with you, I believe everyone has said it as best as they can, and I loved every second of it. It was amazing. I couldn't have said it any better. So that's all I can add to it tonight.
Okay, I'm just not used to you just being completely silent. You know, whether it's here or whether we were in our old course group, you know, before COVID-19, you definitely were silent there. So
I'm not really a quiet person. I talk a lot, but there are times, you're around knowledgeable people who listen and learn. So that's what it is for me tonight. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Charles. All right. So are we ready to move on, or we want to discuss this some more? We have about, it's already 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. Okay. All right. So, Mother, would you mind closing us out in a meditation? A prayer.
Okay. A prayer, right?
Prayer.
Okay.
Prayer. All right.
So let's join together at our hearts. Let's all connect at our hearts. Feeling the power of love emanating from each person in this group. For we know that we love each other. So let us connect heart to heart. Feeling the heartbeat of each person. And we are grateful. Father, Mother, God, Holy Spirit, we are so grateful for this group of powerful beings, of gods, coming together to share in their power and their love for each other and their love for you. And their willingness to open themselves to explore the possibilities to share with each of us, that we may each grow stronger, that we may each send the fluid out into our wings and join together and fly. It is so beautiful to experience, to feel, to embrace this amazing group of gods. And we thank you for the divinely ordained coming together of this very group. For we know that this is not an accident. This is meaningful and has purpose. And we are so grateful. We cannot even begin to thank you enough. And so now we just ask that you go before us, preparing our way for continued evolution and success. Opening our eyes that we may see the truth in everything, that we may look beyond the challenges, the pain, the suffering, the chaos, the violence, into the truth of what is going on. Reveal to us what needs to be healed so that we can participate in facilitating it for the upliftment of the world. And we are willing. We are willing to do your will. We are willing to be a part of this. We are willing. Tell us what you would have us do, where you would have us go, what you would have us say, and to whom. We are willing to do your will. Just tell us in a way that we will understand. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. And Ashe.
Amen. All right. Well, thank you much, everyone. It's been a wonderful evening, Thursday evening. I have got to get back to working on my talk. I will be speaking at Unity Bay Area, Houston, and delivering the Father's Day message. And so I'm very excited about that. If you get an opportunity, come check me out on Facebook. They are opening on that Sunday, but at the same time, if you want to check me out on Facebook, service starts at 10:30. So this has been a wonderful evening. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Mother. Yeah. Thank you, Bill, for all of your insights. Thank you, Jazz. We haven't seen you in a long time. Good to see you, sister. Thank you, Charles. It's great to see you. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Moj. Did I leave out anybody? Krista, it's wonderful to see you. Mark, it was great to meet you, brother. So thank you, everyone. And Zeba, thank you. Great to see you as always.
Susan.
So I want to bid you all a good evening.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Love you.
Have a great
This is-
evening.
Thank you.
That's awesome, Stephen. This is
Bye-bye.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Love you all.
Love
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Love you more.
Love you. Love you.
meeting.